Hi everyone and welcome to Back in Time Fiction, the YouTube channel dedicated to historical fiction. If this is your first time on my channel, thank you very much for being here. If you too like historical fiction, mostly on the action side, this channel is for you, so please take a second to subscribe and don't forget to click on that bell to be notified about the next videos. Today let's do a quick review of another great piece of adventure, The Druid, book 1 of the Warrior Druid of Britain Chronicles by Steven A McKay. As I record this video, I have only read the first volume of this series, so the review will only concern The Druid, but I have no doubt the next books in the series are at least as good. And if you already know this series, you might be interested to know that the next volume, the 5th one, I believe, is coming very soon. Before we discuss the book, a quick word about the author first. Steven A McKay gave us 2 very big series so far, The Warrior Druid of Britain Chronicles, obviously, and The Forest Lord, which is a 4-book series plus some spin-offs centered around the legend of Robin Hood. I really plan to get my teeth into this series in the near future, but for today, let's focus on The Druid. If you want to know more about Steven McKay, I suggest you give a try to the podcast he and Matthew Harvey, the writer of the Bernicia Chronicles, have recently started. It's called Rock, Paper, Swords, and as you can guess, they discuss action-packed historical fiction, their books, rock and roll, and other related topics. Plus, extra bonus point, if you listen to this podcast, you will brush up your Scottish accent. You'll see what I mean. Back to The Druid. What is it about and why do I recommend it? Well, obviously, it's about a druid. Thank you. That was a very tough review. More specifically, this is about a druid in Britain during the Dark Ages, so like 5th century, right after the Romans left and the Saxons tried to get in. And if you are familiar with this period of history, or at least with historical fiction, right now in your head there should be a tiny bell going like ding! Isn't that the time of King Arthur and Merlin? Well, yes it is, but as far as they are concerned, in the first book, they are not a big part of the story. So, if it's not about Arthur, what is it about? The main character here is a young druid named Bellicus, though it is very often shortened as Bel, who assists the king of Alt Clota, which, if my geography is not too messed up, represents basically South Scotland. Bellicus is not your typical druid in the sense that he's quite badass with a sword, which will serve him well because very quickly in the book they are attacked by a bunch of Saxons. The daughter of the king is taken and Bellicus then has to follow them across Britain by himself in order to rescue the princess. And as far as the story is concerned, that's pretty much it. It is simple, brutal, bloody, gritty. In other words, it's pretty awesome. And if you are still not sure about this book, let me give you an image. You all remember one of the greatest parts of The Lord of the Rings in the Two Towers, when the greatest trio ever written pursue the orcs to rescue Merry and Pippin, right? Well, now imagine that instead of orcs, we have Saxons, which is pretty much the same thing. They haven't kidnapped 2 hobbits, but an 8-year-old princess. And behind them, instead of Aragorn, we have a young Gandalf, and instead of Gimli and Legolas, we have 2 dogs, loyally following their druid master and fighting by his side. That's pretty much what reading The Druid feels like, and by the way, I would absolutely watch that movie. Like, Gandalf and 2 dogs, that's all we need. So, the story is quite straightforward, and if you want to read a simple story, this one is absolutely perfect. But on top of it, I must commend the pacing. Not unlike the journey of Bellicus himself, the plot follows a few straight lines before twisting all of a sudden and knocking us in a new direction, which made reading The Druid an enjoyable and surprising experience. One last point, I need to mention the history. The Druid is, as far as I can tell, well researched. From the first pages, the reader is drawn into the world of 5th century Britain, and it is insanely easy to jump back into the story. In my mind, Steven McKay achieved the perfect blend of expected tropes and less known facts about that period. I also feel like The Druid would be the perfect first book for readers who are not familiar with the Dark Ages. Alright, that's it for me today. How about you now? If you've read The Druid or the rest of the Warrior Druid of Britain Chronicles, what are your thoughts on those books? Please let me know in the comments under the video. And while you are there, feel free to share your recommendation in the historical fiction genre. Don't forget to leave a like for this video and to subscribe to this channel. I will see you very soon with more content on the very best genre of literature. Until then, grab a book and enjoy. See ya!